I love that VO bridge.
We should be going live. I think we're there.
Are we there? Are we there? I'm gonna hit refresh on your YouTube channel. We're gonna see.
There we go.
Yeah. No.
We are live. It's time for the Friday stream.
We haven't come up with a better name for that yet, eh?
I don't know. Friday at 5.
Friday at 5.
Yeah, the Friday at 5. It's the best stream. Fridays at 5. How many people stream Friday at 5? That is
probably
Eastern.
a good number, I think.
You think
Eastern,
a good number?
yes, EST or EDT.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like I don't know. Everyone gets off work, so it seems like a time that people would target to do a live stream, but I don't know.
You'd think. This is the first stream of 2021. It had an absolute shit show of a beginning for me. Technically can't talk about it. No. Just because there's other people tied to it that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's understandable.
Yeah. So that said, though, it was a hell of a way to kick off 2021. I didn't get done what I wanted to get done for the channel.
A little behind, are you?
Yeah. No, way behind. Way behind. In fact, Christmas Day, I ordered the M Audio 192.4 Vocal Studio Pro kit that comes with an interface.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it comes with, I know, a sexy name. Interface, headphones, and microphone. And it's absolute trash. Like the only good thing about it is actually the interface. Anyways, I've got the review for that coming up on Monday. But you okay?
Oh yeah, no, I'm stoked. I'm stoked for your review.
Thought you had like a stroke or something halfway through. So yeah, I've got the I've got the review for that coming up on Monday, and it's been such a ridiculous couple weeks that I actually did a video of me cleaning my keyboard. Which, by the way, nobody.
I mean, really... you're scraping the bottom of the barrel. When?
Well, I was sleeping in my studio, man. Like I couldn't.
Like what else are you gonna do, right?
Right. So I set up the overhead camera over my keyboard. It was bad. My keyboard was ridiculous. And
I find all kinds of wonderful things. Ever since you mentioned, because we were talking about that earlier this week, and I like as you were telling me that I had you on my phone, I was looking into my keyboard, just going, oh no. There was
a lot of Mr. Noodles in the keyboard. Not gonna lie. Like
with mine, it's usually crumbs. Like I'll eat peanuts or chips or something, so it'll get all kinds of crap.
Yeah, so I ripped it apart and I did that. Like that was one of my videos. 4 hours of video that I had to bring down because it's tearing the whole thing apart, right? And I've never taken apart this keyboard.
Like when you say taken apart, you mean taking the keycaps off, or you mean literally take the whole keyboard apart?
I took the keyboard apart. This thing needed it. Also, when it's together, I don't have a keycap puller, so that really gets in the way of removing keycaps, and I didn't want to be jamming stuff in there. So
I've always wanted to get one of those. Just I think they're like $20 or something, just a little.
Yeah, I mean minor detail, right? But
it's one of those things. It's one of those things that's like super convenient the 1% of your lifetime that you need it, but it's not, it's not something you need enough to actually warrant going out and actively getting one.
It's like a piston ring compressor. You're like, the one time I'm going to put piston rings back into a block, I need this puppy, but then you're done for 20 years.
I had that with like a year or so ago. I was looking into repairing. I've got like a monitor section, a PreSonus monitor section here. The meters are wonky on it. So I was looking. I'm decent with a soldering iron, so I busted her open and took a look at the board, and it's all surface mount components.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh god. So if you're gonna do that, you need a hot air rework station.
Yep.
I don't have a hot air rework station, but I'm like, it's like like a couple $100.
Well, I mean, you want to spend a little bit more than that. Like if you're doing a hot air rework station, you want.
Come on, it's a glorified blow dryer. Come on.
Yeah, it is, but you want to get one that's going to last, and also.
I mean, you can get one for like $70, but I was aiming for at least $400 or $500.
Okay, that's not bad. I mean,
not bad, but at the same time, it's also like then as soon as I get like if I'm spending $60 or $70 on something, that's a write off. I can just be like, I don't even need to think about it. Okay, done, problem solved. But
Yeah.
if it's gonna be in the $400 or $500 range, the conversation that immediately starts to make its ingressing way into my head is, what are other things I could be spending this $400 or $500 on?
Well,
You
yeah,
know,
but
I
also
just,
like, what could you save $400 or $500 on by fixing the damn surface mount, right? But then,
well, but the thing is, the box itself is only worth like $400 or $500. So like,
yeah,
the
no, I
return
get
on
that.
investment
I
isn't
get
really
that.
there. But at
Hey,
the same time, like, what are you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, am I allowed to? I mean, you told me something before the show.
Yeah, go
actually
for it.
yesterday.
I know. Yeah, yeah. Go for
So,
it.
Dylan is planning on launching his first ever YouTube channel. Well, not first
Finally,
ever.
well,
This is
first like regular YouTube channel, like first actual like. What's the best way to describe it? Because I mean, I have a channel where I throw up music videos, and
this
that's
is more of
pretty
a
much it.
how-to kind of like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it's something obviously, and you know that you've been pestering me for this for a couple of years now to get this off the ground. And I don't know, I finally, I guess I'll start out by saying, and this will be a good dialogue, is I don't like New Year's resolutions.
All right. Okay.
I'm a little bit hypocritical because I still have them, but I have a different mindset about it. Because the problem, I don't want to call something a New Year's resolution because in my experience, people never accomplish their New Year's resolutions. So I'm reluctant to call it that, but I always sit at the beginning of the year and I say, okay, what do I want to pivot into this year? What do I want to expand, grow, both personally from like my employment, when it comes to my business.
Yep.
So this year I said, okay, this is video year.
All right.
This is video year. So I kicked off January and ordered a bunch of infrastructure related stuff, some RAID drives sort of set up.
Oh wow,
Looked
you're
into
going
getting
full on, eh?
I'm going full on. Ordered some soft boxes. Got a new 35 mil lens for my camera. Got a video monitor for my camera.
Wow. Oh, by the way, CF
yeah.
Wheezy, consistent. I'm not exactly sure what
Queasy.
you're referring. Yeah, Queasy. Oh,
Queasy. No, I don't know.
Queefeezy?
Queefeezy. Disclaimer time.
Yeah. Okay. Well. I do have to say, most people start their YouTube channel with their cell phone, or like the built-in audio mics on like a Canon camera or something.
See,
right?
my Nikon has decent audio. Because I was actually surprised because before I had a Nikon D5300 and it had a horrible mono onboard mic.
Yeah.
But then now my D7500, which not only shoots in 4K but also has a decent onboard stereo mic. I still wouldn't use it.
No,
because,
well, you know what?
audio guy.
For handheld and just walking around, it's not bad. Colin S says, "Hey guys, how's it going, Colin?" And CF Wheezy, I'm not even gonna try that anymore before I get.
Oh, that's Colin. That's my main man, Colin. Congrats on the internship there, buddy.
Oh, okay, that's main man Colin. Okay.
Main man Colin, yes. MMC.
MMC. And CF Wheezy says, "Sorry, I meant about his first ever consistent YouTube channel." And I would say that's about right. Like, you haven't, not that you haven't been consistent, just doing music videos isn't like, one a week.
No. No, the purpose of the channel wasn't to be consistent and to have a standalone YouTube presence. The existing channel is really there to augment a larger presence, whereas in this case it's like, okay, time to pivot and focus on YouTube by itself.
So CF Wheezy says CF is for cystic fibrosis and Wheezy because I cough all the time.
Nice.
I gotta say,
would not have guessed that.
No,
would not have guessed that.
Well, I mean, you could have, but then it might have been insensitive. So
yeah,
cool.
Exactly. I'm glad you told us that, so now we could say that. We are educated.
That's an amazing name, CF. Gotta say, I'm just gonna call you CF if that's cool, or Wheezy. It's one or the other.
CF I feel is a little bit.
So I gotta say, like, this is your you've chimed in on a few of my videos. You've actually one of the top videos I had last year was half of it was you. So is that the kind of energy?
The SM7 rant?
Yeah, the SM7B, the differences between the SM50.
Because we did two. We did the U87 TLM shtick, and then
it was the SM58 versus.
Yes. Yep.
Thanks, CF Wheezy. I love your content too. Actually, I haven't checked out your channel, but cheers, man. Thanks.
At least you're honest.
Oh no. Okay, I got to get into this. I got to talk about this after we're done. But I got to say, like, is that the kind of content you're going to be bringing? The stuff that you've already brought to my channel?
It'll be similar because obviously that is a significant area of expertise for me. I think I really want to focus on from a brand standpoint. I want to bring people something that they don't get in 60,000 other places, which is hard.
Yeah.
I'm aware that's hard, but if I'm going to do something, I have to bring it to the table in a way that makes sense. That isn't just going to be regurgitating what everyone else is already saying. So I'm spending a lot of time, both as I alluded to, putting together infrastructure to do it properly, and also to actually come up with a content brand and an actual, a framework that makes sense, that is giving people a reason to come to me as opposed to going to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But so that said, before we get on to because I know you're itching to get onto something too. So I've got, obviously, as far as gear, like I said, most of the stuff that I've already, ordered for this year has been video stuff. But as far as audio stuff, and I'm going to ask you the same question. I think this year, as far as audio stuff that I'm thinking about buying, I had mentioned the Sennheiser MKH416.
Yep.
Because I need a really good. I already have an okay shotgun mic. It's an Audio Technica 835B.
That's not bad.
And it's a pretty good. Yep. It's a pretty good shotgun. Excuse me. It's a pretty good shotgun mic. It's I want something, because I can't use that thing for VO. It sounds great, but it's not a VO mic. No. Whereas the MKH416, I know some like industry voice talent that is their meat and potatoes is the MKH416, and it's not actually that crazy expensive.
It's 1,200 Canadian. It's
which is not bad.
No, considering the other mic I wanted to buy, I get it.
Yeah, considering my Neumann over there, it's not. So I think that on the ground. I want to also maybe invest in some Earthworks. I want to get some Earthworks mics for.
Have you ever used them?
I have.
Oh, okay. Because I've never used one, and I'm trying to get a hold of them to try to get some samples. I've run into a massive problem over the past year. Is a lot of brands don't want to hand me microphones to take back. Like, I've existed solely on, can I borrow that, do a review, and get it back to you? One, I've never touched the Icon Pro, Earthworks Icon Pro, I think it's called. I've never touched any of their products, so I would need like a good week hands-on to be able to do a proper review on it. And I'm getting a lot of like radio silence. So hopefully maybe they'll be just like, here, have a microphone. We'll see.
That should have been that should be the slogan for the technology industry's COVID-19 is radio silence.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because honestly, I've been sitting waiting to get my hands on my dinosaur of a video card is on its last bloody leg. So I've been sitting in the queue waiting for someone to get stock on these bloody 3080s.
Yeah.
But I've been waiting how long now? Like 2 months
almost?
Oh,
and they're saying end of Q1, so end of April probably.
I know.
Yeah.
And I went on last night to see if there had been any news statements about it, because I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like,
I could get you a 3090.
I mean, for $2,000,
2,300, I think it is. But it's
where are they stocked?
Canada Computers in Gatineau here. They actually have one.
They're the site I've been going on for checking all the, and they're always out of stock.
They had
online,
two of them when I was in there, and I'm pretty sure they haven't sold. Like, who's buying 3090s? I would, but I'm not spending $2,400.
In my I was aiming for the 3080 because price to value made a lot more sense than the 3090. Which, granted, the 3090 is like amazing, but looking at what Linus did with the the comparison, I'm like, for an extra $1,300, it just doesn't make sense.
No, and
that's the MKH 416 money right
there. Well,
there.
but that's because it's Canadian money. Like, you're looking at, it's an extra 500 American. Which doesn't translate into ours, where that's an extra 1,300. Thank you, Canada.
Thank you, our economy. Woo.
So, getting back to the original question, though, the content that you want to give, the style that you've been giving it, is that going to be changing a little bit?
It's going to be more exciting. I mean, I
How
hate
dare
to say
you?
It.
How
dare you? That's not to say anything about you. That's to say that my cut-ins, as we would call them in the biz, on your channel, have been pretty bland. Like, not your videos, but my cut-ins have been just pretty informational.
Yeah.
The content I'm delivering, I plan on being a lot more, still coherent, but a little more off the cuff. A little bit, there's more personality into it, less drudging through technical details because
Yeah.
like most people.
Yeah,
don't really care
I've been
about that stuff.
tasking you with the stuff that no one really wants to do, but
Yeah, which I don't mind because like, but I think I've realized over the years that if people want the technical details, they'll look up the white paper or they'll look
to
up
a
the spec sheet.
degree, there's a lot of people like, and I actually got tagged with this by one commenter who said, "Oh, you get to this video, and then they give you all the like tech and history of a product before doing the comparison." I'm like, well, specs aren't everything. Like specs on an SM58 versus an SM7B aren't everything.
No.
There's more to it than that.
No,
And-
in fact, I have a little bit of an anecdote, but so finish that thought.
Well,
Sorry,
just it irritated me because I mean I could do a 3-minute comparison video, hand it to you, and go here. But there's a couple other aspects to YouTube videos. One is entertainment, and the other one is information.
And yeah, appropriate scope.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's audience, like obviously what Linus's audience is looking at for scope is vastly different than like what Jay's 2 Cents' audience is looking for scope. So I think knowing your little market segment and knowing what the people that are watching your videos want is important. And that's trial and error, right? Like you'll do a video, and I'm sure you've got the analytics to back it up as well. But like, you'll do a video on something and you'll try a different template or format, and then it'll tank.
Oh my
and you're like, well,
God.
I'm never doing that again.
If I touch anything other than mic
Technology.
reviews or interface reviews or even like mic comparisons are the money. And while I would love to just compare all the mics, that's money. And there's also other content that I wanted to have on this channel, like how to do thumbnails. The ridiculousness of how bad that video was, or how badly it performed. And if there's anything,
There was a good. I watched it. There was nothing wrong with the content.
No.
It was just obviously it's being put in front of the wrong people.
well, and that's just it, right? And I found it funny because I put up another video, like I did a goals video, goals for 2021, and I looked back at my goals for 2020, and it was funny because in 2020 when I did the goals video, I had 230 subs. And then 1 year later, I had 2,030, right? Like it's mind blowing how much that changed in a year. And so like I kind of put forward my goals, what I want to have for equipment, stuff like that. And I'm doing it on a yearly basis to kind of benchmark the channel in a way.
Yeah, and to make it a little less daunting because it's hard to predict so much in advance. Like, I'm going to do a 5-year plan. It's like, well, you have no idea where you're going to be.
No,
in 2
because
years.
YouTube can chew you up and spit you out. So I'm like, this will be kind of like the yearly benchmark. 55 people watched it. And it's like, okay, well, I guess we'll grow with that. Like, and it feels like I'm doing a vlog, really, because it feels like the people are like,
I think a lot of my content is going to be kind of like that, in the sense that I'm going to do some videos about technology, but I'm going to try and focus more on the practical aspect. Like, here's the mic, here's some details about it, here's what I've used it on, and some examples of different, not just voice, but like, so for example, this guy, my little SM7 here, which I have a love-hate relationship with. I use this guy for the first time ever, believe it or not, on my jumbo Washburn Cumberland acoustic. I've only ever on that particular guitar ever used small diaphragm condensers, like little pencil mics like this fella. And pencil mics generally sound really good because they're very neutral sounding especially on instruments. But this week I had an idea for a phrase that I wanted to put down so I didn't forget it. So I didn't even take the mic off. I just literally stuck it down, in a relative spot that I would put it near the guitar, and it sounded really good.
Yeah.
I would never recommend using the SM7 on a quiet acoustic. In my case, my Cumberland is bloody loud, so it worked quite well. But I was actually pleasantly surprised at how good, with very little processing. Like, I think I had a 3-band EQ on it and a very minor amount of compression. Whereas with the pencil mic, sometimes I'll be a bit of an ass and I'll get in there with 20 bands and just sculpt the crap out of it. But
before we get too far, CF says 3090 is also very power hungry, so PSU changes come with it a lot at the time, depending.
Well, I've got a 1200 watt.
Yeah, and also
Corsair
I think
jaw.
his whole system is being changed out, not just his PSU or his GPU.
Well, there's some stuff that's going to be like my. I've looked up the compatibility of the PCI spec that the 3090 uses to make sure it's compatible with this
it's Gen
workstation
4.
motherboard. It is. Yeah, it is backwards compatible to this. I think this system has Gen 3 in it. So it's compatible in that front, which is fine. My PSU and all my NVMe drives, everything other than the motherboard and CPU and RAM, which are the most important part. But I think right now I'm actually getting my audio applications are crashing because the GPU is failing. So now it's not just becoming I want a bigger, shinier toy. It's like, no, a device is failing and it's time to get rid of it.
Well, the worst part is right now, having it fail right now is like the worst time.
Well, I've got in a backup system, I always, for business reasons, I have my main system, and then if this system completely goes kaput, I have a backup rig that's just ready to deploy right away. And that system has an even older video card in it, but the graphics card. So the one in here is actually an EVGA 9800 GT.
Oh my God.
Which it's back in the 4-digit or the 98. So the one that's in the backup rig is an 8800 by I think that's just a straight up an MSI.
We actually picked up a Mac, one of the new M1 Macs. So I actually have a backup rig. If I need to, I can record.
If you can call a Mac a backup rig.
Oh, dude!
I think you're gonna want a backup rig for your Mac.
If shit hits the fan, I can go on and record on the Mac, no problem. Like you can throw in Logic Pro, $250 for Logic Pro, and I'm good to go. And it's the new M1 Macs are nice.
See, until Louis Rosman comes out and does a video endorsing the M1, I'm not doing anywhere near it.
Linus already did. Quebecer says, "Are you guys back healthy? Are guys back healthy? Yeah, we're all healthy. All's good to go.
I'm good.
Life is good. Cool.
Nobody's dead. That's good.
Questions for you there, bud. Good microphone arm for desktop there. What are you running? What's your microphone arm? I see you even have one of them fancy lights on your boom arm. Is it on the I'm pointing at it as if you can see what I'm pointing at. Good God. And I vote no to censorship, says, who the fuck are these guys?
Who the fuck are these guys, bud?
Who are these fucking guys there?
Well, I mean, I also am inclined, like, you have the right to be offended just as I have the right not to care. But at the same time, YouTube kind of has our balls in a twist a little bit on that front. So I try to keep the overlords happy to some degree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what are you going to do? What's your boom arm? Quebecer wants to know.
My boom arm.
Yeah.
Or yours. Are you on? I can't see you right now. Sorry.
What's yours?
This is the Rode PSA 1. Let me just rotate here. There we go. The Rode PSA 1. It's
okay.
It's a decent job. If you've got a really, really heavy mic on it, like a Telefunken U47, it's probably gonna do a nosedive.
Yeah, let's get the $100 boom arm for the Telefunken, okay? Yeah.
I do have a tube mic that it weighs about 10 pounds, and I just, for shits and giggles, I put it on here one day just to see, and there was I would put it up and it would drift down maybe about a half inch, and then it would stop. So it was still like, okay, I'm verging right on the cusp of the balancing, but it works. And the only thing that I don't like about it, that a lot of, ironically, cheaper boom, it's about what? You have one.
It's $130 Canadian, $99 American, yeah.
American prices. Why I need to live there? But no, I think the only thing that annoys me about it is there's no cable trough.
No,
so you've got to strap your cable to the top, which it doesn't have any performance issues. It just looks ugly.
It looks ugly.
That's the only issue.
I recommend the Rode PSA 1 Quebecer. That's you can't go wrong. And for the most part, most mics that you're going to buy for whatever you're doing, unless you're a professional studio, which I mean technically Dylan is, it's going to do you just fine. I run this OC White low profile on my desk. That's what I use. I like the low profile. I don't like it up and over me. And it's great. Yeah, actually, you see if I can do this with the camera. Oh, I don't like doing that. There's my gut in the way. No. Low profile. They're great. They actually they cost a lot of money. I think this cost me about $700 for the whole setup. But honestly, for what I need it for, it's fantastic. I like having the mic below me, not over top. So, but yeah, Rode PSA 1 is going to do you great. Also, the Blue Mic stand. is about the same as the Rode PSA. They come in about the same class. So, and considering Blue's mic stand has to hold a lot of weight with the Blue Yetis, especially that damn
Even
Blue
then,
Yeti Pro.
yeah, I've never used the Pro, but the Yeti compared to a tube mic, I've felt the weight of a Yeti. It weighs about as much as a U67.
Yeah,
Knowing
yeah.
U67 does.
It's like the NT2A that I've got. I think is, I can't remember.
Yeah,
the
it's got
weight
some
of the
girth
NT.
to it.
Yeah, it's got a good weight to it,
Couple
especially
pounds.
with the shock mount. It's definitely a hefty little mic, and it has no
But
problem.
I'll show you just for graphics. I'll let you keep talking about it. I'm going
All
to show
right.
you the mic that I mounted on this guy.
Yeah, and that's the
That'll give
biggest
you a
thing.
sense.
The biggest thing you're looking for when you're getting a boom arm is the ability to hold the mic. If the microphone is at any point going to drop, especially for the price of microphones as they are, like, upwards of $5,000, you don't want it dropping. So, what do you got here?
No, so this this is the fella that I had mounted, and you can tell based on how it's reacting to the shock mount. It's quite a heavy little feller. It's made of ceramic.
Lead internals. Wow.
Yeah, pretty much, and it's got like a 7-pin XLR port.
I love the attachment for the boom arm is still that little piece of plastic.
Yeah, well, it is, yeah. It's got metal. At least it's got metal threads.
Yeah.
But it's housed in a plastic enclosure and not the most
Incredibly
ideal.
heavy mic being held up by a little pin, and
Well, I'm always worried about because this is all like this is ceramic and this is metal.
Okay.
This is plastic, though.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you skimp out on arguably
Well,
the most important part?
because you can't compress ceramic, right? To
No,
stop it. So, I mean, it does make sense. But yeah, for boom arms, that's probably your best. If you just want to spend a little bit of money, make sure you don't go any lower than the Rode. It's not worth it. You put a cheap mic on a cheap boom or an expensive mic on a cheap boom stand, you're going to pay for it. No. And it's going to suck. So my what happened to me this week, I think it was earlier this week, a guy commented on the video, hey, love the video. This is great. This is what I'm using. This is my setup. Check out my channel. And I'm like, okay. So I just clicked over on the channel. I'm like, cool. It was, the usual, somebody just starting out, working their way up. And I'm like, cool. Thanks for that. Cheers. He's like, all right, well, I subscribe to you. You need to subscribe to me now. Sorry, what? He's like, yeah, you need to subscribe to me. I subscribe to you. I'm like, what? Do you think I'm in this like big scheme of just subscribing
follow for
to
follow.
people?
I hate follow for follow.
Doesn't work. And don't ask people to subscribe to you. That's so weird.
No, I get that on Instagram at least once a day. Where someone will comment. Yeah, someone will comment on one of my posts and they'll be like, hey, F for F, question mark? And I'm like, no. In fact, I'm getting as far away from you as humanly possible now. Thanks.
But I don't understand what it accomplishes. Like, one, YouTube will stomp you out.
Oh, yeah. It's honestly, it's people that don't understand organic growth.
Yeah.
And they think it's a cheap way to be able to get up your vanity metrics. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with anything being effective. I mean, it is like, I guess people, there's that group of people, and then there's people that are like, well, it's like Facebook, like I'm your friend, now you're my friend. And it's like, well, that's a little naive. That's not quite how this works, but okay.
But I mean, from something that's supposed to be a financial, like the goal with YouTube is to get to the point where you can monetize. And that's what the push is for. It's to 1,000 subscribers, right? That's the goal. Once you hit 1,000, oh my God, you're starting to make money on your videos. But if everybody that is subscribed to you is just a sub for sub, they're not watching your videos. So what are you going to make money on?
No, they're just subscribing to you because you're going to subscribe to them, which is steer clear from that. Anyone who's starting a YouTube channel, steer clear from that philosophy because that's toxic.
Yeah, the sub versus sub is, I don't want to say it's stupid, but it's stupid.
It's stupid.
Yeah, it's dumb. Like there's nobody, and these are, I'm not talking about like, I expect something like that from like a 15, 16-year-old. I don't expect that from like a 40-year-old guy.
Yeah, you expect that kind of stuff in like, in like the Tumblr spheres or the, the Instagram fan spheres or whatever, but not in like a, on a professional YouTube channel.
I would rather have people watch my content and go, geez, I like that. This guy's actually pretty good. Or the other way around and say, this guy's an idiot. I'm out of here. That's much better for my metrics.
the goal is to create that. And I think the problem that you're running into with the thumbnail video, for example, is like, so my goal is to figure out exactly the percentage of different, like the content that I'm going to be creating, which is the way I see it's probably going to be 50-50 technology and sort of creative philosophy, if you will, talking about what it takes to be successful as a content creator, which I think is important because there aren't a lot of people talking about it, especially from a entertainment industry. Like there's a lot of content creators on YouTube like, this is what it takes to do a successful YouTube
How
channel.
to be a YouTuber.
Exactly. But my goal is more to be like more general than that. Just good philosophical ideas to have to be successful as somebody that is essentially a glorified assembly line.
Yeah.
To be able to do that. But I need to set that right away, because once people have flagged me in their head as doing certain things, if I pivot from that too aggressively, you get the thumbnail video happening where it's like, okay, well, that didn't work at all. So I want to try and nail down for this foreseeable future the types of things that I'm going to create, and then base my image around those things right away so that there's no ambiguity. It's like, this is what everything is.
I'm actually, and here's like, when I came across this, my last 3 videos, let me go look at this here. Content, my last 3 videos, 3 or 4. So, so I had something big coming in 2021. Merry Christmas. This is the idea of the website that I'm getting off the ground. I'm also going to be licensing out my voice. So I'm going to do voiceover for small content creators. And we're setting up a studio. So this is going to be a production studio. Also, I put out the dirty keyboard. Then I put out 5 things I learned from 2020 that will help you big time, which is actually like I learned a lot from 2020. I went from
there's a lot of value in that video, I think.
I went from 230 subscribers last December to 2,030 this December. And that I learned a lot from that process. So I figured that would be good. 87 views 2 weeks ago. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Or I think last week. And then I put out a Monday my goals for 2021 and it got 58. I'm not going to stop doing those videos. I am not, like, I don't look at that and go, wow, nobody's watching my videos. Screw that. I'm not going to do that again.
No.
Because I also want
some color.
Yeah, and I want to build up a clientele of viewers that look at that and go, oh, cool, he's got a new video. I'll watch it because he's entertaining, he's informative, whatever. So I'm not going to stop doing that. I know that a lot of my viewership comes from people, oh, this guy reviews mics. Okay, I'll check him out. But then I look at the other channels like Podcastage. I like watching Podcastage. He's very unique. But all he does is review mics. So if I don't need a mic review, I'm not going to watch it. I've also had a lot of those mics come across my desk. So I already know my review, so I don't need to watch Podcastage. And that's where I want to differentiate myself. I want to make myself something more than just a mic review. I don't want to be just somewhere where somebody goes for a mic review and it's a one and done. And I think the greatest example of that is Linus, right? Like, that's where he kind of took his company was, it's not just a review of a motherboard or a CPU. There's a bunch of other things. Like, I've got a video coming up, Mac or PC. And I know this is going to start a fight in the comments, but it's two valid.
It always does.
They're 2 valid platforms for running a studio off of. Grant Ave Studios in Hamilton, Ontario, one of the biggest, actually runs off Mac.
There's lots of studios that do.
Yeah,
the creatives have been there forever.
Not Metal Zone, that's a pedal. Metal, what's the one in Toronto? The studio. Not Metal.
There's a couple in Toronto.
The big
there's
one.
Only like about 1,000.
Yeah, there's the biggest one.
There's a handful.
Oh man, it's killing me.
Metalworks.
Metalworks, thank you. Metalworks, they use PC. So you kind of look at this like, which one should you buy to start your studio? And I've got a video for that coming up. And I know it's probably going to be watched by a lot of people searching online looking for Windows versus Mac. And that's cool because some of those are going to filter in and become viewers as well. And then next year, when I have however many subscribers and I do a goals video, I'm going to have more people to watch my goals video then. So I don't look at it as like trying to only do videos that people are going to watch that are subscribed to my channel.
No, that's a safe way, but you can't really get any growth that way.
No, and
if you're going that
also
approach.
Like, how many freaking microphone reviews before you're like, well, I don't give a shit about that mic. What am I watching?
That said, and I'm doing this publicly so that I'll put your teeth to the grind a little on this one. There's one mic review at some point this year, and it's not going to break your bank.
Okay.
So I'll start out by saying that I really want you to do, because I'm going to be curious about what your findings have been. And it is a review of a mic made by AKG, which is a respectable manufacturer, not as respectable as it used to be. It's called the Perception 120, the P120. And it's about 100, somewhere between 100 and 150 bucks MSRP. And you can get it Amazon Prime.
Oh, the
and everything.
P120, this little fella.
Yeah, it is. I have one, first of all.
Okay.
And I like it. For the price, I think it's hard to find that kind of value at that price point.
It can,
from any other mics. But I would be interested to see, because it's an LDC, it's a condenser.
Yep.
I'd be interested to see if you do a shootout between that, because I don't have like a next step up. Like I've got like that, and then a couple other sort of low couple hundreds, and then I've got U87. So like I don't have something in the middle to like compare it to like NT2A. How does it compare to that?
So what would you want to see a comparison for that AKG?
Well, again, I think the NT2A would be a great
so just
to
one
pair,
to one,
because they're different prices. Obviously, the NT2A is a solid step up from the P120, but I still think as far as quality goes, for the price point, the P120, you're not gonna find a lot of mics that are in the $100 price tag range that are gonna sound as good as the P120.
Well, and that's
but I
fascinating.
think for you, it'd be easy, because that is still it's a very entry level mic. Like there's several friends over the last little while that I have that have bought one. And because they're starting up a small rig and they just want one mic to record vocals and just a general purpose condenser mic, and it seems to be kind of one of the go-tos. So I think it would be interesting to see, and there aren't a whole lot of reviews that I've seen on YouTube. There are some, but compared to like the SM7, the U87.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like when you're just doing a straight up review, and this is the one thing I ran into. By the way, I do have a comment, Never Call Me Again podcast. Excellent videos last year. Appreciate the content. Thanks for watching. That's half the work right there. Thanks for coming along. Yeah, and hopefully this year is going to be more fun. When it comes to reviewing a microphone, you put a microphone on a stand, and then you're like...
Do you? Is that the first step? I don't know. You have to buy it first, I think.
This is how the microphone sounds. And these are the specs of the microphone, but it's just... What else do you have? Like, and I don't like just putting raw audio out, because with compression and all that, so I work the audio. I put in denoise, I put de-mouth click, because I have a very clicky mouth. I EQ it, and I compress it a little bit. And it sounds relatively nice for that.
That should be our next video. I'm just sort of thinking out loud here, but we should do a tag team video about EQing voices.
Okay, well, that's a long-ass video.
It is a long ass video, but I think it's a video that people need, because oh man, I've heard some atrocious VOs on Amazon product videos and on YouTube.
Oh really?
Videos and stuff.
See, and I've gone back over a lot of my content over the past year, and my EQing, because you put together my first curve for me, and you gave me an EQ curve, and you're like, here you go, start with this, and I've kind of tweaked it, and then my computer, I had to reload my computer. And I lost all the settings. So I had to do it myself, and I don't mind it, but then I'm listening back and I'm like, oh my God, I don't like that EQ curve.
It's hard, and I found this, so this goes back to the story of me recording my Cumberland with my SM7 here. I recorded it, and then I was in Adobe, just as I had just recorded just a straight up single track out of the mic, just mess around with it in the rack settings in Adobe. And I pulled up one of my go-to EQs to putz around and sculpt something, which is my Izotope Neutron 3 EQ.
Yeah.
And I like it because you can create a bajillion bands in it, and you can have dynamic bands and all kinds of crazy stuff. But I found, and I have this sometimes when I'm first coming up with a curve for something that I've never done before, either a mic and source combination or a source that I've never even touched before. Like when I first got my Taylor 814 CE DLX acoustic, I spent forever putzing around with the EQ on that, and I looked at the curve at the end and it was like, I had probably 30 EQ points, and any mixing engineer will tell you, no, that's a no.
Yeah,
that's a no. I had, because when you sit and listen to something for long enough, especially on like high def good quality monitors or headphones, you start to hone in on like little tiny nuances, and you start to grab them and move them. But then I think sometimes when you're EQing something, you really have to like zoom out to get the bigger picture.
Yeah.
You really have. So what I did is I had this great EQ that I had done with like 30 bands on the acoustic, and then I killed it. I reset it to factory, and then I started over. I started over, and I only allowed myself to use a maximum of 6 bands.
Well,
So
and
I
that's
said no
the
more
thing.
than 6 bands.
Like when I'm doing my voice, I only use 6. I get like to
I
me.
think in most cases for a vocal, I think voice is a monophonic source. So there's only one pitch that can come out of it at a time. So there aren't a lot of complexities. I mean, that's not fair.
Well,
'cause the
no,
voices are
yeah,
very
some
complex.
voices are very well.
Yeah,
all voices
some
are very complex.
voices are pretty complex. But I think as far as the relationship, the sonic relationships between frequencies, like in something like a guitar where you've got 6 strings, all of which are probably not perfectly in tune with each other. You've got intonation issues. You've got so many different interactions between you. When you're miking an acoustic, you essentially have 6 different sound sources instead of 1.
Yeah.
Which is what you have with the voice. So I find a lot of times you'll zone in on, that one particular frequency, and I'll have dynamic EQ bands. I'll be like, I don't know if you've ever used a dynamic EQ, but it's sort of like a multi-band compressor where you've got like a band, and once something goes above a threshold, the EQ will automatically notch it down. Right at that point, which can be very useful for things like S's and instrument stuff.
Ken says, yes, do an EQ video, please. My son and I are launching a podcast next month, and some EQ would be nice. And you know what? EQ is one of those things that you can learn all the basics. You can learn what you need to learn, and then the only thing to make it better is to jump in and do it yourself.
Exactly.
And
you can only basically show you kind of some starting points for how to use it. Like, we can touch on additive versus subtractive EQing, notch EQing, which it's funny. I remember years ago, notch EQing, which is the idea that you create a bell curve and you make it really like a really narrow Q. Or like a really high Q, and then you drag it around until you hear something annoying, and then when you hear something that's like ear-shattering annoying, you notch it down. The problem, and the thing is there were years where mixers swore by that, and now the more astute of mixing engineers have said, well, look, if you grab a really narrow EQ point and you drag it up to plus 20 dB, and you drag it around the spectrum, everything is going to sound annoying. So
no kidding.
People are moving away from notch EQing. I think there are points when it can be handy. For example, with the acoustic, I found there was one particular resonant harmonic that was just really coming through the wood on the guitar, and I wasn't happy with it. So I said, I know that's a recurring frequency that's happening regardless of what the note is. It's always there. So I just, very narrow, and just that one pitch, that one sine wave just needed to go away. So I think there are some examples when notch EQing is profitable, but I think too many people rely on it as a crutch. They'll use it to do all of their subtractive EQing, and it's like that's going to lead to you having a really dull sounding source that's just going to get massacred by anything else that's in your mix.
And I remember way back when I went through radio, and our production teacher, Mike Irvin, he was like, okay, so I want you to EQ your audio. And I was like, okay, well, how do I EQ my voice?
How do we do that? Yeah.
And he's like, you just got to do it. I'm like, okay. And then I brought it back with the EQ, and he's like, this is garbage. Why would you do that? And I'm like, you told me to EQ it. He's like, well, don't you know how? I'm like, you're the teacher. God. And so.
Hi, Mike, if you're watching this.
And I remember, so it's like, you ask a sound engineer, like, how do you EQ? Well, just go and see what sounds good.
It's hard because there's no, like, a lot of EQing, honest to God. Like, again, there are some techniques that you can use to find a good sound, but ultimately the best technique that you can have for EQing is knowing how to use your ears.
Yeah, no, and that's just it.
And I think, like, one thing that when you're learning how to mix a song, for example, one big thing that they always try to instill is the ability with your ears to separate out a source into different frequency bands in your head. Like, for example, when I listen to an acoustic, I can isolate while I'm listening to it what the low mids sound like, and then I can focus on those. So I think being able to hone in on specific frequency regions, because trying to attack it as one big beast is sometimes really hard, especially if it's a complicated sound source.
Yeah, we'll do a video on it.
Yeah, I think a video. We're not gonna make the live stream about it right now, but I think a video on it obviously is a thing. I think that people would really benefit from having.
Quebecer wants to know, could we make a video just how to make the Yeti make it sound good from start to end?
Well, you're gonna have to send one of us a clip of you talking on the Yeti because I don't think I don't have a Yeti.
I can get a Yeti. I have access to Yetis. But I can say one thing. The 3 things that you want to have on any source, no matter what the mic is you want to make sure you have a proper sound quality of the audio coming in. Meaning, if you're talking into a mic in an untreated environment and it sounds like crap, you're not going to make it sound good.
You can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear.
Exactly. And who my Canadian boy? I be your Canadian boy.
I be your Canadian boy.
The second thing you need is you need to have EQing on. Well, you're counting these off, Dylan. Am I hitting them right?
I am.
Okay, yeah.
No, I'm just curious because again, I don't know what your 3 are, so I'm really interested to see what your 3 are going to be.
So your second one would be EQ, and the third one is compression. And I don't mean a large amount of it, but if you have good
in varying degrees,
yeah. So
in varying degrees, I think all those are the case.
But it all starts out with good sound going into the mic. If you have bad audio going into a mic, and I would argue
there's a fourth point that you missed. I think arguably what I would consider the most important point.
Oh, okay, all right.
Which is a good source.
Well, that's what I said.
If you're recording, a $50 acoustic, or someone is voicing something who has never recorded a VO in their life, it doesn't matter what you do to it, it's going to sound bad.
Yeah.
So I think if you're going to focus on anything, it should be honing in on your chops or the chops of your talent, and then worry about the technology that you're using to capture.
I've actually got a good one for that. So we've all heard the Subaru commercials, right? You've heard Subaru commercials all the time. I had to read one today.
I've mixed some of them.
they gave this to me and a few other people that had just started at the station, and they went with my read. Because bring on winter safely in a Subaru with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive. First, contact your Subaru dealer to book your appointment and enjoy an incredible winter on bonus.
Did you read it just like that?
Yeah.
That's very whispery.
Well, no, it wasn't just like that, but that's how it came out.
I was going to say, it didn't sound again, this is not fair at all, but I'm totally judging it off the way you just read it. But I'm like, there's nothing conversational about that. So like, what was the...
Oh, no, they don't want it to be. That's a hard sell. It's a Subaru.
But there are still ways to do hard sell reads in a way that...
Come on down, it's time to get yourself a vehicle.
I've done those, Finch Hyundai. Like, I've totally done those.
Yeah.
And I hate them, but they're fun, but I hate them. But
that's what it's learning to read what they want, right? It's learning what the content, what you need for the content. So if you need a dry, sultry read and you're not doing a dry, sultry read, there's no EQ that will give you that. There's no EQ to make you sound like Sam Elliott or Morgan Freeman.
It's hard because it's a double-edged sword, and and I say this as someone that does commercials on the daily, but so there's a balance that you have to strike, and that is giving the client what they want, and also because ultimately you and your sales rep and your writer are the advertising specialists.
Subaru
you are
ASMR.
the specialists. Yeah, that's basically what it sounded like. Symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive.
I think it was just the way I was positioned with the mic. Shut up.
No, but so getting back to, you have to make something that the client likes for their thing, but you also have to make something that is going to perform well with the audience base. Because if the spot doesn't do well and people don't like how it sounds, it's not going to have performance, and therefore they're going to pull their contract if they even catch wind that it's not performing well. So I'm blessed that I work with some sales reps that are pretty good about pushing back on clients that have, stupid requests for spots that aren't effective at all as forms of advertising. Like we had one spot one time, I'm not going to mention the client, but we had one spot one time where the end tag of the spot, they wanted to sound like it was police dispatcher, like a cop dispatcher on the other end of a radio. And the instruction for the police the dispatcher was, and I quote, "sultry soccer mom."
What?
They wanted a police dispatcher, but that sounded like a sultry soccer mom. So that is an example where the rep goes back and says, "What have you?"
Are you picking the kids up from soccer today?
But so I didn't know that was the instruction that they were given. So I got the VT back for the police thing. I'm going, what the hell? Like, and I know the voicer was in Sudbury, that the gal that had read the lines, and I'm like, I emailed her. I was like, what were you doing? And she was like, they wanted the sultry soccer mom. I said, they wanted what?
Sultry soccer mom.
For a police again, I totally get that if it's a sultry soccer mom part.
Oh, I'm guessing it's something officer on scene. Don't worry, I'm coming.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't even overly effeminate. Like she still managed to sort of integrate the police dispatcher tone there, but it was just so
How
like
do you put those two together?
And it was a car dealership, and I just remember going back to the client and being like, no. Like, we're not doing this. And they're like, okay. You don't think it's going to work? I was like, no.
Can you sound more orange? I don't know. Can you try to sound more orange? I don't know what it means. Try.
Yeah, but it was like, it wasn't this. This wasn't the brand, but just for the sake of anonymity, I'm using it as an example. But it's like, Acura west of London. And it was like, oh, no.
West of London. Yeah, because...
And again, like, the company that I work for really tries to go for the conversational in creative, like...
Yeah,
like Subaru London,
and but they talk about that. But then I'm sorry, and I'm going to call out every company that works doing writing and delivery of these commercials. If you want to see a good commercial, good write on a commercial and a good read on a commercial, look to Ford. And I'm not talking about
Ford's
their
got
local
good
stuff. Look at the stuff that Dennis Leary does. The Dennis Leary reads on that are great. And because the writing is great. And so when you walk in to read a conversational script from a radio station, and it's like, come on down, we're down here on the west side of Hunt Club. Nobody talks like, come on down, we're on the west side of Hunt Club.
The first thing to a conversational spot is, if it's not written conversationally, you're not going to make it sound conversational.
And that's the
first
problem.
thing is educating your writers.
But that's the thing. They're like, hey, could you make this sound conversational? I would never say this to anyone. I would never say, hey, come on down, we're on the west side of Hunt Club. It doesn't work that way. And anyways, we're going on a tangent over radio writing and production here. To make the Yeti sound good, let me look into that. I will, for you, Quebecer, I will see if I can get myself a Yeti, and I will see if I can do a video up basically how to treat a Yeti with my voice. And that's one of the biggest problems with this is with those three things.
I got a fun idea. So you get the Yeti, record, write up a quick, 30-second something, or not even, like a 10-second something.
All right.
And you process it the way that you would do it, and you send it to me, and I'm going to process the way that I would do it, and we're going to compare. In a video, we're going to compare how we both decided to process
Your
the voice.
bag of tricks is so much deeper than mine. That's
but at the same time, like, fair. I don't. So I'm going to limit myself. So I'm going to use only. I'm only going to use Pro Tools stock plugins, which granted are still way better than Adobe stock plugins.
Yeah.
But not by a like. I'm not going to use Izotope stuff. I'm not going to use Wave stuff.
I'm using Izotope for the mouth. Okay, you're allowed to use the mouth declick.
Did you buy a Waves bundle at some point recently?
No, I didn't buy that one. No, I didn't buy the Waves
I was going to
bundle.
say, damn it!
It was over $100 for an EQ. I can't do that right now. I can't. I just can't. If you want to buy me a Christmas present, no.
So this is a good segue. So that's I think a good idea for videos. A little comparison. Of
no, we're doing that. We are doing that.
I'm down.
And I'm going to
a shootout, a processing shootout. I love it.
So you know what I'm going to do is maybe I'll do up a. I can't be anything copywritten that I would read, so it'd have to be something.
No, you have to write something, and again, it doesn't need to be long, because like maybe a 15-second something. Do a 15-second commercial for Dark Corner Studios or something, or like a quick 15-second.
I'm gonna get you to do it for free. Then I've got a commercial for Dark Corner Studios, and you did it for free. I like it.
There you go.
That's actually
bend me over backwards over a barrel.
Whoa, I don't know, over a barrel. It's kind of.
backwards too.
Yeah. I'm gonna actually do that. We're gonna put that on the log. Also, yes, I'm gonna actually
On
take
the
a look.
log.
What was the other
We'll
one?
put that one on the docket.
The EQ video. So let me write those down while we're talking.
EQ and also look into the P120 as well. Do a Perception 120 and NT2A.
All right, I gotta get my list. Gotta get my list.
Get your list. Get your paper.
I actually have a list of videos that have to be done. I've got a fun one that do you need to buy expensive XLR cables?
Nope.
Yeah, well, be careful with that. Have you ever tried?
No, I'm saying I have Amazon Basics and Mogami, which are polar opposite ends of the bloody spectrum as far as XLR cables. And I literally just bought the Amazon Basics one to compare. And what you really get, in my experience with better XLR cables, is, well, mainly one thing and partly a second thing. And the main thing you get is reliability.
Yeah, big time.
You get reliability is the main thing. So if you're gigging and you want good cables, get Mogami cables.
Yep.
Like 100%. They're gonna cost you like $50 for a 20-foot cable, but it's worth it. The second thing you can get is some added interference cancellation, which
added, please. I pulled apart. Okay, here.
I'm not gonna see it if you're showing me something, but show everybody else.
You can see it. So what creates interference protection is the braid that goes around. So when you open up an XLR,
some cables are braided, some are foil. Like there's different types of shielding, but
foil shielding is better for stuff that's going to be never moved.
There's essentially three types of shielding. There's stranded shielding.
Yep, that's what I've got right here.
Which like crosshatch strands are considered a pretty good middle ground.
Yep.
Foil shielding has good coverage, but it's not reliable because it's really easy to split the foil.
Well, that's why if you're going to run it in the walls, it's good.
Yeah, braided foil is it's the least effective in a lot of cases, but at the same time, it's the most reliable.
Here,
you can
see this. I've got it up here. So you've got a red wire, you got a blue wire, and then you've got basically stranded copper wire that's just wrapped around the two wires. That's it. Mm-hmm. This is a $30 cable. This one was it's got a Neutrix connector, which is actually decent.
Neutrix is good stuff.
Neutrix, whatever. But that stranded cable just wrapped around the two others has gaps everywhere. And the gaps are what led in RF interference. The braided is better.
An important thing to note is that's an XLR cable, right?
Yeah.
So with XLR cables, they are balanced.
Yes.
Which means that inherently, now I would say that for unbalanced cabling, shielding is exceptionally important. In fact, it's vital. With an unbalanced cable, again, what's a good example? I've got an unbalanced cable, balanced cables that are made with Ethernet wire.
Yeah. Oh no, they're
Because if anyone doesn't know this, the idea behind a balanced cable is that you have two conductors as opposed to one, and the two conductors have polar opposite versions of the signal. So when this goes zig, the other one goes zag, and then so what happens is the interference that comes onto the cable from the air, it comes onto both of those conductors at the same time in the same direction, but the two conductors are actually, like, the signal on them is opposite. So what happens is it gets encoded from one side, from the source, goes through the cable, and then at the destination, the phase gets flipped on one of those conductors. So it cancels out virtually anything that would have come onto the cables between point A and point B, which is why balanced cables are far superior. But because the fact that the balanced shielding isn't as massive as a deal as it is, it's still good. It's still good. For example, an example of where it is good is something like this, the SM7B, which has a very low output, which means that the preamp, everything after the preamp is getting amplified by like at least 60 dB, if not more. So anything that's coming onto the cable, even slightly, is getting bumped by that much more. So if you're working with dynamic mics like the SM7B, particularly low output ones like the SM7B, get good XLR cables.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing, and that's kind of basically the gist of the video you just explained. Thanks for that.
Wait, did you say you already did this video, or you're going to?
It's coming up. Thanks.
All right, well, good front sell. Good front sell.
Well, the concept is simple. I use mostly $20 XLRs. But I also have a very controlled environment where, if you're running
in a studio.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like if I'm going to end up getting a Mogami for my main microphone so I don't have to worry about it. But also the ruggedness of it is a big deal if you're moving the mics around. If you're constantly plugging, unplugging, you're going to want that. Quebecer also says video idea this year, headset for studio or home use. That's a personal one.
That is a barrel of monkeys, that one.
Yeah. I'm going to try. I think what I'm going to do with the headset one is not necessarily this is the headset you should buy and a review of a bunch of headsets, because how are you going to see the review of me trying headsets on? But
the hard thing about headsets is it's like telling someone to buy certain monitors. You can't. Only thing I can really advocate to someone when it comes to headsets is what company that I know has solid build quality and good in general. Like, for example, Shure, I have a decent Sennheiser is like the epitome, in my opinion, of high quality headsets, like the HD 700s, for example, or Mammoths. But Shure is pretty good. But as far as like what headset sounds good,
it's tough.
I guess the one thing that I can say, again, it's like speakers. Like, you have to buy what sounds good to your ear. So if you can, obviously now it's hard with lockdowns and with COVID and everything, but ideally you want to get into a store and you want to get a playlist of stuff that you like to listen to, play it through a bunch of cans and listen and buy the ones that sound best to you. That's what you want to do.
Well,
but I think
free content
generally
99.
I think the most ideal situation is, I mean, there's really two primary types of there's open back designs and no, let's not get into that. Let's wait. Let's do a video.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
As I'm getting it, I'm like, there are some things.
There are some things, but that's also like when it comes down to like the sound quality. I can say the M Audio Studio Kit. I've got the review coming out for it on Monday. The worst headphones I've ever put on, and for one reason and one reason only. When you get a pair of headphones for studio use, you want flat. Like straight up flat. You don't want any coloration of the sound because that's what EQs are for. So if you're EQing something that's already colored, maybe you're dropping the bass because there's extra bass in your headphones. These headphones were the worst.
What are your go-to cans?
SRH 440s.
Okay.
Sure.
So those are not good. Those are not good mixing headphones.
No, I know they're not good. But
and these aren't either, even though they're like upteenth, and they're not good because they're closed back designs.
I don't. Yeah, I get it because
closed back designs. They're good references in the sense that if you want to get a sense of how people that are going to be listening to your content are going to be hearing it, they're not using open back headphones. Everyone's listening to stuff on closed back. So, but if you want to actually get as flat a response as possible, you want to get something like the SRH 15 or 1840s, which are open back designs.
I'm not.
But those are also like $600.
Yeah. If I want relatively flat, I go to my monitors, and then I use the head.
Which assuming your room is put together well, which we know it is.
Yeah.
Then monitors are good. But if you don't have a good room, which I mean. And I think that'll be a good thing to put into the headphone video. So maybe add this as a little point underneath that idea is talking about the benefits of deciding to invest in good headphones versus a good pair of monitors. Because there are some big considerations where headphones are a preferable purchase. As much as mixing engineers would have to be like, you can't mix on headphones. Mixing on headphones, your stereo image is garbage. The frequency. There are situations where you will get a better product from investing in headphones than in a good pair of monitors.
Well, it also depends on what you're mixing.
It depends on what depends on what you're mixing, but also if you are in a garbage room that needs to be treated, the cost it's gonna cost you to treat it versus the price of a good pair of headphones and a good it's sometimes very advantageous to go the headphones route. And there are plugins now like Waves NX, for example, which simulates a control room in your headphones.
Oh, really?
And I actually tested that a couple weeks ago. They actually have, if anyone's interested in that idea of being able to use a studio on headphones, there is a trial thing on Waves' website where you can actually
You're pointing at
play
the ceiling.
something.
I don't know what that is.
I know.
If it's up here,
I'm pointing to a computer.
Somewhere up here. Okay, the
way.
computer. Okay, yeah.
The computer down there. But no, if you go to Waves' website, they actually have a tool on their website that you can use to preview what NX does. And I like closed my eyes, and it actually has this feature where if you have a webcam, the plugin will actually track your head, and as you move your head, your virtual speaker placement will move.
Oh, that's
with
cool.
your orientation. And I close my eyes and I'm like listening to some of their samples and stuff, like doing that. I'm like, wow, this is really effective. Wow.
That is
It
cool.
sounds
I do
like
have
monitor.
to say,
So,
these M Audio headphones. So I put them on. Because when you just put a pair of headphones on, you can't tell how flat they are. You need to compare.
no, you're in the diagnostic phase.
Yeah,
It's,
you need
the
to
honeymoon
compare them.
phase.
So I put them on, and I'm like, these don't sound too bad. And I was listening to a video, Linus Tech Tips video, and I put my Sennheisers on, and it was about 5 dB less of bass. Like, the bass was that much. And so I put them back on again. I'm like, oh my God. So I turned on my monitors just to see whether or not maybe these are missing the bass. Maybe these are screwed up. No. It added so much bass to the signal that I'm
A
like,
lot of headphones do that, especially I wouldn't expect that. Again, you've bought a kit that's angled at professionals.
yeah, and it says
So,
pro on it.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed because if you're aiming at a consumer, for example, a great example of this is the largely sought after Beats by Dre,
Yeah.
which are consumer grade headphones. And when I was in high school, I had a set of Beats, and they sounded amazing. But they sounded amazing because they were active headphones
Yeah.
that had a built-in amplifier to crank the shit out of the bass.
Yeah.
Now that said, like on my 940s here, my Shure SRH 940s, these also have a lot of bass, but they also have a lot of high end. Which when I first put them on, I was like, whoa. Jesus, like S's, like I was listening to some of the reference songs that I listen to a lot when I'm breaking in monitors or headphones, and I was like, oh my Lord, this like the S's are just ripping my head off. Oh my God, now I'm used to it. But and the detail is phenomenal. But when you get headphones that are very detailed, sometimes you get little boosts here and there that aren't so flattering.
Well, let me show you. I got to take my headphones off for this. You'll see. I don't know if you can see, starting to crack the ears. The earmuff parts of it.
Oh, yeah.
This is usually where I replace. These things are about 2.5 years old, and I know you can get extra muffs for them. And
mine actually came. Did yours come with? I have a set of H.
See, the 440s are good, but they're kind of like the entry level. You can get lower grade than the 440.
I was gonna say the 240s.
Yeah, but I put those on, and they just sounded empty. They didn't sound very good. So I went with the 440s because I was strapped for cash at the time. Now that I'm not, I think I might actually go up to the 840s, which were your last ones. You had 840s last, right?
Yes, and I swore by them. The only reason that I'm now using the 940s is because my H40s suffered a bit of a structural death.
Oh no!
The plastic ruptured in like many different places, which
How
I've
do you
found.
do that?
I treat my headphones don't leave the studio. They sit here on the rack and plugged all the time. And somehow, they must, though that particular, because again, I have 440s as well in the booth, and those have done a lot more traveling than the 840s have. And there's nothing wrong. They've never broken. But that said, I'm pretty badass with some cyanoacrylate glue, some Gorilla Glue. So, I'm planning. I don't want to give up on my 840s. They're on the surgery bed, just waiting for me to deal with them at some point.
I have a little hook that I put underneath my desk, which is perfect. You throw the headphones there. They drop on the floor twice a week.
And they're fine.
Yeah, and they're fine. So I don't know, man. And I've had these longer than yours.
The weird thing is the 840s have pretty much identical like nylon construction as the 440s. Like they're much more they're heavier and they're much more solid feeling.
Robust,
but other than that, but I still say other than the fact that my pair just happened to be a little weird. I definitely recommend the 840s as far as a flat response. There is a huge difference between the 440s and the 840s when I upgraded.
How much are the 940s? How much were those?
400-ish, $400 or $500.
See, that's what I was looking to spend because the 840s at one time were $400. When
Shure SRH 940.
when I bought these, the 840s were $440.
They're actually $337 right now, which is not bad.
Okay. I might end up with those. And I know, like, I can feel them because I wear these things for a whole morning show. So I put these on at 5 in the morning and I wear them till 10 a.m. And then I get back on, and when I'm not running my monitors, I'm running with these. And I think it's the sweat that makes it all crack and dry out. So.
Well, see, the ear cups on these are actually fabric. It's not leather, or it's not pleather. So not only are they more comfortable, they do get a little warmer because obviously But I find them, I can wear these for 6 hours at a time and not have a problem. Whereas the other ones, I found that my ears would get all sweaty because of the pleather on my.
Yeah, no, I get that too. And then it starts during the summer, you'll feel it drip off.
Oh God, yeah, I can feel beating off down my neck, and I'm like, ah.
Hey, we're giving away too much for the headphones special, so we're gonna do that.
Yeah, we really are. We're gonna stop.
We've got like 3 videos planned. The EQ one's gonna be the biggest problem, but we'll get through that and we'll figure that out. Quebecer says my David Clark headset still going strong 8 years. David Clark headset? I've never heard of a
David Clark is known in the engineering circles.
Okay.
I believe Dave Clark is an electronic music guy, if I'm not mistaken. If somebody happily call me out on that if I'm wrong.
David Clark headset. Oh wow! Oh, those are the old school
he's a musician.
radio ones. Those are the radio ones that everyone used to have back in the day. Look up the David Clark H1013X.
No, I'm just looking up Dave Clark at the moment.
Yeah, but
I haven't even gotten to the Dave Clark headset. I'm just trying to figure out who that is.
David Clark H1013X is the. It looks. They have the look of the.
Is it Clark with an E or just a K?
No E, just K.
Oh,
yeah, you get.
When you say headset, are we talking with a built-in microphone or like?
Yeah,
headphones?
it's got a built-in microphone too. These are one of those like. It looks old school, but it's.
It
not.
looks like an aircraft carrier kind of, or like a helicopter pilot.
I like it, man.
I like it. I would get it just because how it looks. I would get it.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
even know what it sounds like.
Oh, it probably sounds good. Will Star saying hello, Lil Toopy, Toopy and Binu, I'm guessing. Hi, Lil Toopy. We're about done here. We every day 5 to 6, give or take.
And we're like quarter after.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. We appreciate it. We're gonna do this again next Friday, so set your clocks. And we got some good video ideas coming out of this, Dylan. This is what we need to do every week, man.
Yeah, we need to probe the market.
Yeah, I'm gonna be ordering that AKGP 120.
Yeah, and
I'm ordering that today.
Start writing a little 15-second monologue because I'm stoked to do that little processing comparison.
What
Again, I'm not.
Should I do it in the Blue Yeti? Should I get like?
Do it in the. You have the TLM, right?
Yeah, I can get it.
Do it in the. Oh, I thought you bought it.
No, I didn't buy a TLM. I have no interest in owning a TLM.
I thought you did, and then you were mad because you wanted to get the 414.
No. If I purchase that amount of money, I'm getting the C414. I am not like the difference between the C414 and everything else is so vast. I have never sounded as good as I did when I was running the AKG C414.
The 414 is a creepy mic in that it's cheap compared to other mics that are put in the same caliber, but at the same time, there are instances where, for example, the Telefunken U47, which is a $12,000 microphone.
Yeah.
There are sources that have sounded not good on that the 414 sounds amazing on. So, I think as one of the best Swiss Army knives that you can get in the pro leagues, the 414 XL2 or the XLS or
I'm going
XLS.
I've tried the XL2 the XL2 before. That's the one I tried way back, and that's when I got the XLS. I borrowed it from Long and McQuaid, where I had a kind of a lending deal, and I was just going to do like this is a cheap condenser versus an expensive versus, and I sat down with the XLS and I started editing it, and I was blown away at just how. Like my voice is a relatively common voice. It's a lower end voice, and it blew me away how much depth my voice had on that microphone. It was phenomenal. I have the SM7B, love the SM7B, but the depth is nowhere near what the AKG
No,
had.
the SM7B, the appeal of the SM7B is actually its lack of detail. That's really, as a dynamic mic, it doesn't have nearly as much detail. It's still, I love it, and this isn't me saying anything bad about it, but the reason you use an SM7B is because it gives you a bigger picture sound, rather than, oh wow, I can, I can hear every minute little mouth noise.
Which is a problem. Will Star says, which mic would you recommend for a good mic for my talk show? SM58. Straight up, $100, and you're done. If you're not looking for an XLR. If you're looking for an XLR mic, any will do. Don't go too cheap. The best XLR mic you can probably go with mid-range would be the Rode NTG. Is it the Rode?
Well, the Rode NT1 is sort of their entry level. It's like the cheaper version of the NT2. It's like the NT2A, but it has no options on the front.
If you want condenser, NT1 is the way to go. I was saying USB. They have the NT USB. That's what it's called. The Rode NT USB is actually,
which I think it's just the NT1 with a bunch of converter components.
Probably. But Rode anything is going to do you great. You will not get
Rode's
a bad
okay company.
product from them. Even their cheaper stuff is still pretty damn good. I would avoid the Shure MV7 unless you want to pay the extra tax for the flashy, which that is the MV7 has flashy. A lot of people love it, but 340.
Isn't the MV7 cheaper than the SM7 though?
Yes, it is by $100. I think it's $100.
Yeah,
but it doesn't sound anywhere near to as good as the SM7B.
Nope, I watched your video. Whoa.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's not bad for a USB mic. The USB sound on it is actually kind of nice.
For that price, though, I could find better things.
Put an extra $100 on it, get an SM7B.
Or say screw it and get a Sennheiser MK4, which is in the same price range and is a condenser mic and sounds great. I used MK4s. In fact, the station that I worked at, the entire station was rigged out with MK4s, and they were awesome.
Yeah. So lots for you there, Will. I haven't seen Will Star around, so if you're new to the channel, anyone that's new to the channel, welcome.
Welcome.
We'll see you on Monday. I've got a brand new video with the M Audio 1924 Vocal Studio Pro. Yay. Yeah, I know. Sex appeal straight up. All right.
Oh, man.
Thanks a lot, guys, for joining. We'll see you Monday. Have yourself a great weekend.
Have a good one.
No.